On our 7th anniversary, my A-list celebrity boyfriend and the newly popular ingenue went public with pregnancy photos. Yes, we're having a baby. The whole internet celebrated and sent well wishes, while my social media was swamped, earning me the title of groupie. The next moment, my boyfriend called me. She's just my public girlfriend, you'll always be the woman behind the scenes. Be sensible, okay? Sensibly, I sent them my congratulations. Half an hour later, the ingenue posted a screenshot of my boyfriend's messaging app contacts list showing no women other than her. He said that when you love someone, you give them absolute security. Looking at the blocked screen, I turned around and accepted the international director's collaboration invitation. Daniel. This time, we've truly ended things for good. Agent Maria, I've thought about it. I want to accept Director Adams' invitation and train in isolation for a year at the Desert Mesa Training Center for the role of the courtesan in the outlaw. But the conditions overseas are very tough. Agent Maria's words were cut short as Daniel walked over, frowning, and asked, "Who's going abroad?" I hung up the phone. Before I could explain, he walked straight to the sofa and sat down. "Never mind, it's not you anyway." His eyes were full of certainty. "You couldn't live without me." Looking at him, I lowered my gaze slightly, a bitter smile on my face. Actually, this wasn't the first time Director Adams had invited me to film overseas. 5 years ago, Director Adams had invited me once before. That time, Daniel secretly used my email to decline Director Adams. I was very angry when I found out, but he held me and cried heartbrokenly. He said he couldn't bear to be without me, that he would die if I left him. Because I loved him, I compromised. But he forgot. The one who couldn't leave, it was never me. Seeing that I didn't respond, Daniel seemed to realize something. He took out the gift box he was holding. "You're being very sensible today. This is your reward." With that, he handed the gift box to me. The gift box was a bit dirty, one corner was even damaged. I didn't move. Daniel tore open the gift box. Inside was a necklace. It was very familiar. Earlier today, when Daniel and Chloe went public, this necklace was around Chloe's beloved dog's neck. Because he loved Chloe, he deliberately chose the dog's birthday for their announcement. And naturally, he'd forgotten that today wasn't just our anniversary, but also my birthday. I don't want it. I stepped back 2 paces, refusing outright. But the next second, Daniel grabbed my hand tightly. "You seemed pretty generous online, didn't you?" He frowned, a flicker of displeasure in his eyes. Before I could react, he fastened the necklace around my neck. "It cost tens of thousands. Don't be ungrateful." I tried to break free, but Daniel held my hands tightly, pulling me towards the mirror. Cough, cough. The dog smell was making me feel awful. The fine dog hair touched my skin, and I started itching all over. Daniel couldn't see my discomfort. He smiled and said, "Looks pretty. It suits you well." In that moment, my eyes welled up. My nose stung. I didn't want to cry, but tears fell anyway. 7 years together, and in his heart, I wasn't even worth as much as a dog. Seeing me cry, Daniel smiled and playfully tapped my nose. "Overwhelmed already? Just be a good girl, and later, I'll buy you something even more." I pushed him away, yanked off the necklace, and threw it on the floor. Before he could get angry, I spoke calmly. "Daniel, I'm allergic to dog hair." He opened his mouth, as if to explain, but seeing the rash appearing on my neck, he looked flustered for a moment. "I must have grabbed the wrong box, Clara. I'll go find some medicine for you." I ignored his guilt and just looked down at my phone. Agent Maria's message. "See you at the training facility in a week." Daniel quickly found the medic. INE box. I didn't make a fuss and took it quickly. Seeing this, he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "Clara, you understand, don't you? I'm doing all this so we can have a better life." The announcement was fake. "You're the only one who's really my girlfriend." I gave him a cool glance. "Is the baby fake too?" "That's enough, Clara." Daniel's face was full of anger. He pointed at me, his eyes filled with disappointment. "Clara, I told you the announcement was fake. I'm doing all this to give you a good life. Why do you have to be so petty? Beneath his rage, there was mostly guilt. I understood. Maybe the announcement was fake, but the baby wasn't. I curved my lips into a smile. Perhaps my smile was too sarcastic. He slammed the medicine box onto the floor with a bang. You've changed, Clara. You don't trust me. Do you know how desperate I've been trying to give you a good life? And you? You can't even be understanding towards me. He stormed over furiously, slammed the door loudly, and then smashed everything in the bedroom I had decorated. Crash, bang, boom. After a long time, he finally finished his outburst. It's not even a holiday or anything. Why are you getting all this flashy stuff? Clara, can't you be a little more frugal? I work so hard to earn money, not for you to waste it. Do you or do you not want to get married, damn it? I watched him rave silently. In a daze, I remembered our past. The sincere, honest young man, the one who never spoke harshly to me, was unrecognizable now. I had originally planned to propose to him today. 7 years. We should have reached a happy ending. But I was still too naive. I walked into the room and, while he wasn't looking, hid the ring. Looking at the mess on the floor, I took a deep breath and carried the pillow and blanket/quilt into the second bedroom. Agent Maria and the others just wanted to give me a surprise. A surprise for no reason? This explanation didn't satisfy him. I pointed to the cake on the table, which he had smashed. It's my birthday. Daniel heard this, looked at me in silence. I ignored him and closed the door. There was no sound from outside for a long time. Just as I was about to fall asleep, there was a knock on the door. Clara, come out quickly. I was annoyed, but Daniel kept knocking, as if he wouldn't stop until I opened the door. Finally, I opened the door. When I went out, I saw that he had bought me a new cake. He smiled, cut the cake, and handed it to me. I'm sorry, Clara. I was too busy and forgot. I've made it up to you. Please don't be angry, okay? I looked at his fawning expression and took a deep breath. I knew if I didn't eat it, he would keep bothering me, but I was truly exhausted today. I took the cake and ate 2 symbolic bites. Seeing me eat, he smiled. Clara, Chloe knows about us. She was worried you might be upset today, so worried she didn't even eat dinner. Could you call and comfort her? Hearing this, my expression changed. I didn't respond. Seeing that I was unresponsive, Daniel picked up my phone, started dialing the number, and was about to call Chloe. I watched him skillfully key in the phone number, finding it utterly ironic. We'd been together for 7 years, and he didn't even remember my phone number. But he had Chloe's phone number memorized. I snatched the phone from him, stopping Daniel from hitting the call button. In the struggle, I used too much force and cut my arm on a nearby fruit knife. Blood started streaming out. Daniel was in a panic, pulling me to rush to the hospital by car. Just then, Daniel's phone rang. You and Chloe just went public. If you're not living together and showing off your relationship, how can we justify the marketing? Tell Clara to move out of the apartment as soon as possible. It was Daniel's agent. Daniel hesitated for a moment, but the agent kept pressing him. Finally, Daniel nodded in agreement. After the call ended, a terrible silence filled the room. Move out. Although I had made up my mind, my heart still felt cold. This was the man I had loved for 7 years. My heart felt like a broken hole, the blood drained away, leaving only a howling cold wind blowing through. Cold, numb. I held my arm, saying nothing. Daniel pulled me towards the garage, saying, "Let me take you to the hospital first. It's better to get the wound treated quickly." He didn't mention me moving out, but I spoke up directly. "I just heard your agent say I should move out and let Chloe move in." I was cut off irritably by Daniel before I could finish. "Clara, what's the point of this? It's just moving out, isn't it? I'm doing all this now, earning money, so we can get married later, right? Chloe, a young girl, isn't even complaining, so what are you complaining about?" His torrent of abuse completely turned my heart cold. Daniel, roughly pulling my arm, started walking me down. I wanted to resist, but ultimately chose to comply. My body is my own, and it's better to get the blood on my arm treated quickly. Besides, in this situation, driving would be difficult for me. Just as we reached the car, Chloe's voice rang out. She threw herself onto Daniel sweetly, gave me a provocative glance, and whined coquettishly, "Darling, why are you with Clara? Didn't you say you'd wait for me at home?" As she spoke, a crowd of paparazzi appeared behind Chloe. Daniel jerked my arm away as if he'd received an electric shock. Blood dripped from my arm, down my fingers, and onto the ground. The paparazzi swarmed us furiously. "Daniel, on the day you and Chloe went public, why were you with Clara?" "Daniel, there are rumors online that Clara has always been chasing after you. Is that true?" Before Daniel could speak, Chloe interjected. "Darling has always seen Clara as a sister. Otherwise, why would he be with me?" "Stop speculating." Chloe continued, "All right, Darling and I are going home now. You can all disperse." Cameras clicked in Sessa. NTLY. Daniel and Chloe were locked in a sweet embrace. The moment was permanently captured, my pale face and arm bleeding profusely. I was completely out of place amidst the frenzy around me, like a desolate beggar witnessing someone else's happiness. Daniel and Chloe left. The remaining paparazzi didn't let me go. "Clara, are you still hung up on Daniel? Why were you with Daniel while injured? Were you trying to gain Daniel's attention by self-harming? Clara, how do you feel about Daniel and Chloe going public?" My face was pale, the blood on my arm flowing more and more as the paparazzi cornered and pursued me. When the photos were posted online, my image as a scheming woman drew even more abuse. They shouted, "Clara, get out of entertainment. Clara is shameless. Anyone who interferes in others' relationships should swallow 1,000 needles." Agent Maria saved me. She helped me escape the paparazzi's pursuit. All the way, Agent Maria muttered angrily that Daniel is such a jerk. "Look at you now, the paparazzi will twist this into anything. You gave up so many performance opportunities to take care of him, and what did you get in return?" I gave a self-mocking smile. "Never again." I opened Twitter and solemnly stated, "I have never interfered in anyone's relationship. I sincerely wish Daniel and Chloe happiness." But the netizens didn't let up. Thinking about how I would be training in isolation overseas for the next year, I added, "For the next year, I'll be out of the public eye." The netizens seemed to take it as a victory and finally withdrew. After driving to the hospital, I was sitting in a chair having my wound treated. An unknown number called. I answered, and it was Daniel's voice. "Clara, why did you block my contact? There's a limit to how angry you can be. And what did you mean by that post on Twitter? You're an adult, can you stop being so childish?" He had no idea I was planning to leave. After complaining about all Daniel continued, "Oh, by the way, Clara, Chloe says her stomach hurts. Where do you keep your sanitary products?" So, going to all this trouble to call me was still for Chloe. I said coldly, "I used them all." From the other end of the line, Chloe's simpering voice could be heard, "Darling, I want you to buy them for me, the usual brand I use." Daniel said with helpless indulgence, "All right, I'll put on a mask and go buy them for you." I hung up the phone directly. Daniel and I had been together for 7 years, but he had never taken care of me during my period. He used to say, "I'm a big guy, completely clueless about that kind of stuff. How could I buy things like that?" So, a clueless straight guy could take care of someone after all. It just wasn't me. Fortunately, I finally woke up. On the way back, I told Agent Maria about what Daniel's agent had said. Agent Maria was furious. She grumbled angrily the whole way, saying I deserved better and that she wanted to beat up that scumbag. I comforted Agent Maria and asked her to help me find a moving company, and only then did she stop. As expected, the apartment was a mess. My things had all been packed up and were piled in the center of the living room. Daniel saw me, a look of awkwardness flashed across his face, but quickly solidified. "Clara, I've found you a new place. You can move there first. My agent said living with Chloe right now will make this marketing campaign twice as effective. He brought over a box of supplements and said, Clara, I bought this for you. You're injured. You need to recover. As he spoke, he put the box into my hand. I glanced at the bag. It was from the pharmacy downstairs that I usually went to. On the coffee table, in a similar bag, were sanitary products. His concern for me was just an afterthought. I felt utterly disgusted. Subconsciously, I pulled my hand away, not expecting the bag to fall to the floor. Daniel became enraged from embarrassment. Clara, how see? And you be so petty? You're always so ungrateful and unreasonable. How can we continue like this? He continued sarcastically, if you weren't constantly nagging about getting married, would I have agreed to the company's couple contract like this? You need to understand, this is all for you. I just felt it was absurd. I couldn't muster the energy to argue with him at all. I looked at him deeply and said, then let's not continue. Disbelief flashed in Daniel's eyes. I took a deep breath, looked at him, and said word by word, Daniel, let's break up. These were words I had never said before. The air in the living room suddenly became exceptionally quiet, as if frozen. After a while, Daniel sneered, Clara, I didn't expect you to learn to play hard to get now. He sat on the sofa resentfully and yelled at me, then let's see. Don't come crying back to me later. Our argument attracted Chloe, who was tidying up in the apartment. She linked her arm through Daniel's. Her eyes held an uncontrollable confidence of victory. She said, Darling, Clara was just speaking in anger. Don't be mad. She walked up to me, a smug look on her face, yet speaking in a weak voice, Clara, this couple announcement was the company's idea. If you're angry, blame me. I felt utterly disgusted and didn't reply. Tears immediately welled up in Chloe's eyes. She looked at Daniel tearfully, Darling, I'm sorry, it's my fault for being nosy and disturbing you and Clara. Daniel saw Chloe's tears, put his arm around her shoulder, and yelled at me, I knew you were petty. You just can't bear to lose me. Bullying a girl like this, you're just a shrew. After saying that, he pulled Chloe towards the bedroom to rest. Chloe nestled into Daniel's embrace, looked back at me provocatively, looking utterly triumphant. I didn't want to deal with these two. I didn't want to stay here for another second. I quickened my pace, walking past them to grab my luggage. Then I suddenly heard a cry of awe. Ch. Lo collapsed onto the floor. She weakly clutched her calf, it hurt so much. I calmly watched Chloe continue her act. But Chloe's expression became increasingly unnatural. The fakeness on her face disappeared, replaced by cries of pain. More horrifying, blood flowed from beneath Chloe. She was pregnant. Chloe cried out, sobbing, Darling, the baby, our baby. Daniel snapped back to reality and quickly picked up Chloe. He accused me without hesitation, Clara, you're vicious. Just break up, not marrying you is my good fortune. But I hadn't even touched Chloe. I had no thought of explaining at all. I had wanted to have a child with Daniel countless times. But he always told me to wait, just wait. But now, he actually had a child with Chloe. The two people before me suddenly felt utterly strange. All the genuine affection from before suddenly drained away, floating lightly out of my body. I knew I had to leave completely. After Daniel and Chloe left, I packed my things and had Agent Maria help me move them to the company housing complex. Next, I called a renovation company and had everything in the apartment removed. This apartment was decorated by me little by little. Since I was leaving, I would leave it completely bare, as a memorial for the past 7 years. With the workers busy, the apartment became a bare shell overnight. I waved my hand and turned away completely. For the next few days, I stayed at the company housing complex, preparing for training overseas. Until noon the day before I left. I suddenly received a call from Daniel's agent. He said anxiously that Daniel's stomach illness had flared up, and he was hospitalized, asking me to help take care of him. I was extremely surprised. Aren't there doctors at the hospital? Why call me? I can't treat illnesses. The agent was speechless, unsure how to respond for a moment. I hung up the phone directly. Unexpectedly, Daniel actually found his way to the company housing complex. He had a cold express ion on his face, came in, and sat on the sofa. "Why didn't you move into the place I found for you?" I didn't answer. Daniel, unusually, didn't blame me. Not only that, he pulled out a bouquet of red roses from behind him. We had been together for 7 years, and I had mentioned countless times that I wanted a bouquet of red roses. I had fantasized countless times about how happy and excited I would be to receive red roses. But he always made excuses. Now, looking at this bouquet of red roses before me, I couldn't feel happy at all. "Clara, why have you suddenly changed so much recently? You weren't like this before." Deep confusion was in Daniel's eyes. He never thought I would leave him. I repeated calmly, "We've broken up." Daniel said impatiently, "Okay, I get it. This time it's my fault. Stop throwing a tantrum." He actually thought I was just having a tantrum. I immediately threw the flowers he was holding onto the floor and grabbed his arm to drag him out. When I loved him before, I liked everything Daniel did. Now, I just found him annoying. As we were pushing and shoving, both our phones rang at the same time. Agent Maria's voice came through. "Clara, why is Daniel at the company housing complex looking for you? The paparazzi got pictures of you too, and the internet is exploding with criticism right now." Agent Maria's voice continued, "It's a huge wave, clearly bots. Don't go outside for now." It was the same on Daniel's end. Urged by his agent, Daniel finally walked out of my apartment door before I could completely kick him out. I felt a sense of relief. Ding dong, the doorbell rang again. I opened the door, and Chloe appeared before me. She pulled Daniel's arm and said to me, "Clara, Darling said he couldn't reach you for a few days and was a bit worried, that's why he came over. Don't worry, I've already posted on Twitter to clarify." Seeing their act, I knew this was another drama. I opened it to see. Sure enough, Chloe's Twitter post read, "Couldn't reach Clara for the past few days. I was worried about her, so I asked Darling to go check on her. Clara would never be a homewrecker." At the end of the post, she specifically added me. After reading it, I commented directly below the post, "I'm not interested in homewreckers." The tide of online opinion gradually shifted. Daniel watched me operate on Twitter calmly and skillfully, his expression gradually turning anxious. "Clara, why aren't you angry?" I took a step forward and did something unexpected. I took Chloe's hand and clasped it tightly together with his. "I wish you a long and happy relationship. Since you went public, just stay together." Chloe understood my unspoken meaning. She tightened her grip on Daniel's arm, like a dragon desperately guarding its treasure. She said, "Clara, you can't take back your blessing, you know." I nodded indifferently. Anyway, I wasn't planning to repeat the same mistakes. Daniel's panic, however, became increasingly obvious. He pulled away from Chloe and grabbed my arm. "Clara, what do you mean? Explain yourself." I looked at him and said, "We've already broken up. I'm asking you not to bother me anymore." His face suddenly changed, becoming paler than I had ever seen it. "Clara, you're not serious, right? How could you bear to break up with me?" I was confused. Can a breakup be fake? Daniel suddenly raised his voice. "Clara, you don't want to marry me anymore? If not, what was all this I did for you for?" I snorted. "Done for me? For me, you carefully picked out a whole room full of gifts for Chloe? For me, you bought sanitary products for Chloe? For me, you're living with Chloe?" Chloe looked eager to retort. I shot back directly, "You're not innocent either. Cut your manipulative act. I don't like tea. You two, from now on, don't you dare show your faces around me. Otherwise, I'll go straight to the paparazzi with a story." After saying that, I locked them out directly and ignored them. ISPE. NT my last day in the country peacefully. The next morning, when Agent Maria took me to the airport, she told me the online backlash had been handled. She also mumbled to me in confusion, wondering what happened, as the bots had suddenly retreated. I knew what happened. This whole thing was Chloe's plan. Once I compromised, she naturally stopped. Sitting in the waiting area at the airport, Agent Maria was rambling. Clara, don't worry. I'll handle things at the company. Just focus on your training at the facility. You don't need to worry about what's happening outside. I took a deep breath and hugged Agent Maria tightly. I knew she was doing it all for my good. As I turned to leave, I unexpectedly ran into Chloe. She called out to me in a fake, affected voice, Clara, are you going to an event? Why didn't you say anything? What if darling gets worried? I walked over and lightly slapped Chloe's face. I told you, don't pull your manipulative act on me. I'm not falling for it. He's something I don't want anyway. Since you're head over heels for Daniel, make sure you keep a close eye on him from now on. Don't let him bother me. After saying that, Agent Maria and I left. The plane cut through the sky. 3 hours later, I landed at the training facility. This place was located in a remote desert location with terrible signal. I had no idea how Director Adams found this perfect location for training. As soon as he saw me, Director Adams was very excited. You're finally here. I've seen your acting. There's no one more suitable than you for the role of the courtesan. I smiled modestly. After getting me settled, Agent Maria went back. From that day on, I stopped paying attention to outside news. My days were filled with classes like physical training, dance, language, and horseback riding. Occasionally, I would contact Agent Maria and chat a little about life. The days were peaceful and fulfilling. 3 months flew by in a flash. In these 3 months, I learned a lot at the training facility and made many new friends. One noon, Director Adams found me in a hurry. He frowned, his expression serious. Clara, did you interfere in someone else's relationship before? I shook my head, not understanding. Director Adams handed me his phone. This is an email I received. He continued, if this is true, our collaboration will have to end. I took it and looked. The email claimed I had interfered in Daniel and Chloe's relationship, causing them to go their separate ways. It listed a detailed timeline. If I hadn't been the one involved, I would have believed it. I had long heard that Director Adams was someone who wouldn't tolerate any wrongdoing. I quickly explained, Director Adams, this isn't true. But, he frowned, I also received this. I looked and saw it was a large bouquet of flowers. The sender was, Clara, Chloe, and I have broken up. Can you forgive me? Your loving Daniel. I found it utterly ridiculous. Who was he trying to put on a show of deep affection for now? I just felt utterly nauseated. In front of Director Adams, I threw the bouquet into the trash can and said, Director Adams, give me 1 day. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll tell you the whole story from beginning to end. Back in my room, I opened my phone and found Daniel in my blocked contacts list. I organized all our previous chat logs and photos from my album, compiled a timeline, and created a document. After organizing everything, I called Agent Maria. Agent Maria was very busy. As soon as she answered, her apologetic voice came through. Clara, Daniel has been hounding me, demanding your contact info. I never expected him to go public with the breakup on Twitter and beg for your forgiveness. Yes, the reason Director Adams showed me the message was because half an hour earlier, Daniel had gone crazy on Twitter. It happened to be Chloe's birthday that day. Not only did he not send her wishes, he actually went public with their breakup. I found a spot with good signal and logged onto Twitter to see everything. The two of them were trending high on Twitter's hot search. Daniel posted 2 consecutive messages. Chloe, I'm very sorry. Clara, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Will you come back? As soon as the 2 posts went up, Chloe became the betrayed victim, and I was immediately slammed as the top trending topic. Celestial Third-Party Snow Lotus became my nickname. I didn't feel angry, just annoyed. Many text messages popped up on my phone. They were from Chloe. Clara, you must be ecstatic now, seeing Daniel can't live without you. Aren't you thrilled? Clara, I'm not doing well, and I won't let you do well either. My annoyance grew. I replied immediately, I don't take back trash. My life was just starting to get better. I just wanted to devote all my time to the acting career I loved. I needed to deal with these two quickly. I interrupted Agent Maria's rambling on the other end and sent her all the materials I had compiled. Agent Maria, this information should be enough. You can handle it however you see fit. Agent Maria's voice on the other end was surprised and pleased. Clara, you're amazing. Don't worry, I'll make sure you get justice. I nodded and hung up the phone. A while later, Agent Maria called again. Clara, after you left, Daniel pestered me every day. But the last couple of days, he hasn't bothered me, and he's been going crazy on Twitter. I suspect he knows where you are. Be careful. I said, oh. As I turned to walk back, I saw a disheveled Daniel with red eyes. Agent Maria was truly a jinx. Our training location was very secluded. Daniel finding me here clearly took some effort. Seeing me, his expression was agitated. Clara, I know I was wrong. He knelt on the ground, took out a diamond ring, and said, Clara, I shouldn't have gone public with Chloe before. During the days you were gone, I realized I couldn't live without you anymore. Will you marry me? His eyes held nervous and in anticipation, like a soaked puppy waiting to be rescued. I found it ridiculous. I walked over calmly and picked up the diamond ring, a 10-carat heart-shaped ring, clearly well prepared. Daniel, this ring is very nice, but you're not worth it. I don't want to marry you. I placed the diamond ring back into his hand. You should go back to Chloe. Daniel's eyes were bloodshot. He clung tightly to my leg. No, Clara, you can't be so cruel. I only love you. But I'm too tired, I said, looking deeply into his eyes. Daniel, I'm truly tired of being with you. Don't come looking for me anymore. Let's part ways amicably. Daniel wanted to say more, but I just walked away. Don't find me. Don't make me hate you. After saying that, I left. A gust of wind and sand blew past. I heard the sound of a heavy object falling behind me. My steps didn't falter at all. I walked forward resolutely. The next morning, I got up early, packed my things, found a spot with a strong signal, and opened Twitter again. The public opinion had already shifted. Daniel's endorsements were one by one announcing their termination. He quickly accumulated high amounts in breach of contract fees. Daniel instantly went from being an A-list celebrity in the entertainment industry to being universally despised. But he paid no attention. On Twitter, he persistently @ed my account, constantly posting apologies. Some netizens commented below, so celestial third-party Snow Lotus was someone else all along. Scumbag Daniel, get lost. Clara is truly pitiful, the comments varied. On Twitter, some netizens even turned around, touched by Daniel's display of affection. Daniel is truly devoted. He's pursuing the woman he loves, even if it means his career collapse. A netizen immediately replied below, the world is truly a giant eating poo. If you like that, I hope you meet people like him every day. Countless netizens echoed this. Seeing that Daniel couldn't stop his crazy behavior, his agent called in a rage. Clara, are you happy now? What good does Daniel's career collapse do you? You're going to destroy him like this. Clara, this is your revenge, isn't it? You're truly vicious. He went on to complain that I shouldn't have left Daniel alone in the remote desert location to die. I couldn't be bothered to listen. They knew Daniel and I were together, yet they allowed Daniel and Chloe to go public. What good people were they? Besides, Daniel destroyed himself. What does that have to do with me, his ex? It's absurd. I hung up on Daniel's agent immediately and blocked the number as well. This whole thing was too melodramatic. Even the people at the training facility couldn't help but join in the gossip. Didn't you see? Daniel looks so haggard in the online pictures. Did you see? Daniel's account has been taken over by his company. Everything on his Twitter was deleted. Hearing this, I felt no ripple in my heart. I walked past calmly. In the afternoon, I took my phone and went to see Director Adams. I also sent Director Adams a copy of all the information I had compiled. Director Adams looked at me. After reading the contents on his phone, he sighed deeply. He thought for a moment, then patted my shoulder. Clara, keep up the good work. I felt a weight lifted from my chest. This matter was finally over. I immersed myself back into busy training. A year flew by in a flash. The day I came out of the training facility, Agent Maria even brought a banner to celebrate. On the way to the welcome dinner with Agent Maria, I kept feeling like someone was watching me. Agent Maria quietly nudged my arm and gestured behind us. Clara, you really won't go back to him? I shook my head. I had felt that gaze many times over the past year. I knew it was Daniel. But what did that have to do with me? When we arrived at the restaurant, just as we reached the private room door, we ran into Chloe. After a year, she no longer had her former glamorous appearance. She was following behind a pot-bellied Mr. Peterson, smiling ingratiatingly. Seeing me, a vicious glint flashed in her eyes. Chloe grabbed my arm directly and said to Mr. Peterson with a fake smile, Mr. Peterson, this is Clara, she's a good friend of mine. Would you like to join us? A lecherous glint flashed in Mr. Peterson's eyes. Agent Maria immediately rushed over. Chloe, it's one thing for you to willingly degrade yourself, but our company doesn't hand over artists to others as playthings. Mr. Peterson had clearly heard of our company. A hint of awkwardness flashed across his face. He turned directly to Chloe and slapped her. Young girls just don't know any better. After saying that, he pulled Chloe away and left. Thinking of Chloe, who used to be like a pampered little princess, I only felt the cold reality of the world. But ultimately, life is about your own choices. Everyone has to pay the price for their choices, don't they? After the welcome dinner, I threw myself into the filming of The Outlaw. Director Adams was relentless on the film set. Many found it unbearable, but I enjoyed it. This was the first time in years I had the chance to work with such a good film crew, a good script, and a good production. I worked even harder. The day filming wrapped, I unexpectedly received a recommendation from Director Adams. Director Miller has a script they're about to shoot, and they need a supporting actress. Do you want to try out? I was in disbelief. Director Adams, are you talking about Director Miller? The one who won an Oscar? Director Adams nodded. I was ecstatic. Of course, of course, of course. Director Adams finally smiled. Clara, keep up the good work. Your potential is limitless. I nodded vigorously. From then on, I started working busily with the film crew. The roles I got were getting better and more numerous. Devoted to the acting career I loved, I was full of energy every day. Before I knew it, The Outlaw premiered. The role of the courtesan was a huge success. More and more people were seeking me out. The Outlaw ultimately raked in $5.5 billion at the box office. After the celebration banquet, Agent Maria excitedly hugged me. Clara, you're truly an overnight sensation. She showed me her phone. Messages kept pinging nonstop, all of them collaboration invitations. Even more surprising, my portrayal of the courtesan was nominated at an international film festival. Amidst the glittering stars, I won the Best Supporting Actress award that year. During the backstage interviews, no media mentioned Daniel, no one mentioned Chloe, no one mentioned the past affairs of love. All I saw was praise and commendation for me. Looking at the media crowding around me, seeing the smiles on their faces, I also smiled happily. Indeed, once you succeed, everyone around you is nice to you. As more of my roles were released, my fame grew higher and higher. Finally, in the year I turned 27, I successfully starred as the lead in Director Miller's film. It was a gamble. I won the gamble and became a newly crowned Best Actress. On the way home, countless fans around me were celebrating and screaming. Among the countless people, I saw a familiar face. It was Daniel, who had long since returned to mediocrity. He was dressed simply, his hair messy, his face haggard. He was shouting at the fans around who were calling me wife. Clara is my wife. Unfortunately, there were too many fans, and they were too enthusiastic. His voice was drowned out, unable to make a ripple. I gave him a cool glance and left without hesitation. Sitting in the car, Agent Maria was dying of curiosity. Clara, that was Daniel just now, right? What do you think he's up to now? I said, not interested. Agent Maria completely ignored my reply and started talking excitedly. After Daniel's career collapsed back then, he was saddled with sky-high breach of contract fees. His agent was dragging him to all sorts of business dinners, the kind that were apparently quite unsavory. For some reason, the company settled with him, and then people saw him going to a therapist, apparently suffering from severe depression. Agent Maria kept rambling on and on. I just took it as a lullaby. Only when I'm well rested can I fully commit to the next challenge. The next time I heard about Daniel and Chloe was on the legal news. Photos of the two of them engaging in group drug use were taken by paparazzi, and they were sent directly to rehab center. Along with them were a group of well-known toxic elements in the entertainment industry. I glanced at the news and calmly scrolled past. The road of life is still very long. All I need to do is stay positive and bravely move forward.